All right, it's 5 o'clock. Appreciate everybody being here tonight for our work session for our council meeting next week. First item on the agenda is agenda-related public comments. I got a few folks signed in. First is Mr. Faruqi.
Okay, last week I had the opportunity to address this group concerning the transparency of Red Sage and the positive indicator messaging. I also talked about Pinion's plan, how police statistics that are currently on the website are like 4 years old. They're not current and they're not accurate because if you look at the data from the FBI, not the website they send you to, which also you can't access, but old data. The most current data shows that the number presented in the website of 153 violent crime rate incidents is in no way, shape, or form covering the data points from 2019 to 2020, as it says. It may cover 1 month, but the FBI statistics for the rest of the year, none of them are that low. The website talks about, well, let me go into some more things here. The problem, I think, with that is that the police statistics are not transparent, and they're also cloistered within City Hall. We don't have access to that information.
Just the agenda items on this.
I'm still talking about the minutes, okay?
And remember, minutes would be if you had an issue with what was in the minutes.
And how misleading some of the minutes are, then I can continue. It talks about low crime. That's the button you press. 2020 data. That may be true during Nate Allen. It is not true under our current administration. Facts that are listed there are false. Burglaries are down 44.7%, maybe back in 2020. Larceny and thefts are down 43.1%. These are great numbers. This is positive information for 4 years ago. It does not help somebody who is trying to come to this city, perhaps to go work at the Arsenal under SpaceCom, and have the opportunity to understand what this city provides or doesn't provide. Now, I have a text mail chain that I received as a result of being in this meeting from Tab Bowling. And while I was at the meeting, I sat down, and he referred me to the community crime map on the Chief of Police website. And I asked him, I said, are these accurate numbers? What does this have to do with providing measures of effectiveness on crime statistics? And I went to the site 3 times, and it tells me very little. And I asked him, what is the violent crime rate indicator compared to Madison, Huntsville, or Athens? And his response, I'll phone you when I return to the office. Hours later, he was on his office computer, and the website is not up to date. Last records are from, this is my information to him, last records are from 23 July, 4 months ago. None of that data is accurate. If you look into it, it only records 500 violations. There were 500 violations between 6/15 and 7/23 of this year. So therefore, the stats that are currently on there are wrong. And that alone is almost a 10% crime rate for a population of 58,000. I will gladly take a look at what you sent. Curious you mentioned Huntsville. How did we compare to Huntsville, says the mayor. And I said, great question, Mayor. Might ought to ask your chief of police. And then your response was, do you remember?
Yes, sir. Huntsville doesn't report their crime statistics.
Okay, and that's not my point. Okay, I'm not asking you what the Huntsville numbers are or who reports and who doesn't. Why is the data not accurate? And you don't report accurate numbers either.
So ours right now has been down since, I believe it's July the 23rd. And it's an issue with our server. It's not with LexisNexis, I'm told. Chief Pinion returned to the office today. I had an opportunity to visit with him earlier. And he's going to get with our information systems team and see where they are on getting that back up.
Okay, if you look at the FBI statistics, which have the most current from a year ago, they're the ones that I was able to find, there are no current data then for the last 12 months for the city of Decatur from the FBI.
they run about a year behind, I think, for all municipalities.
They don't for the state of Alabama, and they don't for the United States in general.
Okay?
Did you know that?
No, sir.
Okay, there's a lot there. Again, my point is, maybe you ought to know, you ought to supervise that gentleman perhaps a little bit better, the chief of police, so that we can get information that's accurate and relevant to people deciding to possibly move here and buy a house.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. I had Chrissy Schiff and Barbara Thompson. And this is for agenda items. If there's a space at the end of the meeting, if you have something that's not on the agenda to discuss, either way.
No, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, it is.
sure. I don't know why you're here, so that's why I gotta ask.
Okay, well, I just saw where y'all were talking about getting fees for the pickleball complex. And my question, I just have a question. I don't mind paying the fees. I just can't say that how the fees would do any good, because your employee that have to work there, how are you going to pay them?
Yeah, I think, I don't know exactly the answer to your question, but what I do know is it sounds like you're going to ask for those to be tabled. There's going to be more conversation. I'll make a comment about those tonight too during the meeting. But I don't know what we're going to do about the fees. Those were on the agenda to potentially vote on, so I understand your question.
Well, I know, but the vote is what, next week?
No, if it's tabled, it would just be to a future council
Oh, okay.
meeting.
All right. I just
But
was.
if not, then we will need to have discussion, and I will make sure we have that. But it sounds like they're just going to be requested that those get tabled.
Okay, I can't say having fees costing the city more with paying an employee than not having the fees. You know, it seems like the city would be out more with us paying fees and paying an employee.
I think there's you mean to process fees or to accept the payments or whatever? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I'm talking to play fees.
So an employee has to take those payments.
Right. And I think that's going to limit the hours. You know, I think about the complex in Opelika. That's a 24-court complex, population 33,000, and here we are at 56,000 and a 12 in fees.
Right.
It just doesn't seem logical to me.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move into the agenda. We had approval of minutes, November 18th, 2024, 9 a.m. council work session, November 18th, 2024, 10 a.m. council meeting. Any questions? Resolutions, Resolution 24-289, approve MUB expenditure of $485,200 for professional services agreement for, I guess that's water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant coatings and structural rehabilitation.
Correct.
Got it.
Good evening. Tom Cleveland, Decatur Utilities Water Resource Manager. This is an expenditure request to enter into a professional services agreement with Adura Engineering, who has done several projects for us over the years. It's a total of $485,200. It's 6 different projects, 2 at the wastewater treatment plant, 4 at the water treatment plant, and they will provide all the engineering design, drawings, contract specs, and construction oversight for the project, for these 6 different projects. We've lumped all these together to try to get a better economy of scale for bids, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about each project.
Any questions on that one? And we can go ahead and, any questions on that one? Thanks, Tom. Resolution 24-290, approve MUB expenditure of $440,000 for replacement of 46 kV poles on Market Street near Rhodes Ferry substation.
Sir, Glenn Boyles, Decatur Utilities. This is a replacement of 18 46 kV poles in our system over near the Market Street area and area of the Rhodes Ferry substation. These were identified as needing replacement through our inspection process with Osmos and also our engineering personnel during some of our conversion planning. Be also replacing some switch hardware in that area due to our conversion process and upgrade some switches while we replace those poles. And total request on that is $440,000.
Any questions? All right, Resolution 24-291, approve MUB expenditure of $135,899 for Newport Towers gas meter.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Gary Borden with Decatur Utilities here. What you have here is a expenditure to install a new service at the new core towers and structures building out on Merrow Drive. The total expenditure is $135,899. This will include 150 feet of main extension and then a metering and regulating station to deliver gas to the new facility out there. About $48,000 in contract labor and about $84,000 in materials. So with that, this has already been approved by our utilities board at last week's meeting, and this is in our operating budget for this coming year, and the revenues have been approved. We did do a payback analysis on this, and this will pay back in 4 years, so a good payback on this project here, and we'd ask if you have any questions that we could answer for you.
Any questions? Thanks, Gary. Resolution 24-292, declare surplus and approve donation of SCBA air compressor by Decatur Fire Rescue to Speak Volunteer Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This SCBA air compressor has served us well for the last 18 years. We're seeking to surplus this unit and approval to donate to the Speak Volunteer Fire Department to serve their community.
All right, any questions? All right, Resolution 24-293, approved grant application to Alabama Department of Environmental Management.
Good evening, Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. We just replaced 2 of the 4 refuse trucks in our fleet, and we would like to replace 2 others, but I want to apply for another state grant since they've been so generous with us. So this is an application. I'm asking for your approval to apply for 2 more refuse trucks. There is a typo. I'm asking for $700,000, not $650,000.
So that's out of the landfill fund.
Yes, we will be reimbursed. Yeah.
Okay, any questions? All right, Resolution 24-294, award bid number 25001 for household hazardous materials collection to Clean Harbors Environmental Services. Jeremy.
Good evening, Jeremy Sherrill with Procurement. This is an annual contract for a service that we offer to our citizens here for the safe disposal of hazardous materials from their households. If you'll indulge me for 60 seconds or so, I think it's worth pointing out we hold these collections every second Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. until noon at our solid waste compound. On 1802 Central Parkway, we receive and safely dispose of household dry cell batteries, used motor oil, paint, household cleaners, and gasoline and kerosene and oil, and field aerosol cans and pool chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. And so I think it's worth noting that we can do that. It's a service that we do offer, and this is just a renewal of that annual contract. We're recommending, where are they? Clean Harbors as the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 24-295, award bid number 23038 to Grayson Carter and Son Contractor Incorporated.
Yes, a couple of months ago, I came before you and requested that we approve Purite McAnally to oversee this major project for the landfill. It's for a groundwater interceptor. They're over the complete project. They also over the bid process. They went out for bid, and the lowest bidder was Grayson Carter and Sons for this project.
All right, any questions? All right, Resolution 24-296, award bid number 25002 to CL Specialty Contractors, LLC for constructing loading dock and concrete slab at Recycling Center.
This was solicited for the installation of loading docks and some concrete slabs at the addition at the Recycling Center. Bids were open November 13. 2 contractors responded, and we are recommending CL Specialty Contractors as the lowest responsible bidder.
All right, any questions? Resolution 24-297, approved Church Street project, STPSU 5225, reconstruction of Church Street to Somerville Road, preliminary engineering utility construction cost agreement between the state of Alabama and the city of Decatur.
Yeah, this one and the next one are basically one and the same. The first one is just approving the agreement, and the second one is approving the funding.
No, it's going to come out of 2 different fiscal years, right? This fiscal year is like the PE and I, 45,000.
Most likely it'll be in 2 fiscal years, yes.
All right, any other questions? All right, resolution 24-299, approval of rate changes for Point Mallard Park venues, and then I'll say it read as well. Resolution 24-300, approval of proposed rate changes for park and recreation venues. You just want to kind of talk about where we are on that.
We're just asking those to be tabled.
That, and I have no problem with that. We can talk about that next week. I do want to discuss some of that, if that's okay. And full disclosure, I had rearranged a work trip last week so that I would be here on Monday night, and then we moved the council meeting to Tuesday. So I will not be here on Tuesday next week to vote on these items, so I just want to discuss a few things. I do think we have to keep up with cost of employees, cost of materials, both at Point Mallard and generally Parks and Rec. First on Point Mallard, I think I would like to look at something that would include, if we're going to raise rates, really at any of those places, whether it's the campground, the aquatic center, what else do we have? Golf course. Is that we find a way to include, if not all, at least a portion of that as to be, and I'm sorry, Kyle, but earmarked for future either expansion or maintenance of those particular parts of Point Mallard. I just know that when we raise costs, and I know we have higher operating costs too, which makes it more difficult, but when we raise the prices, typically, that money right now would just go into the general fund, which means it can go anywhere. So I think it's important that Mr. McMaster has said this many times about the ice rink, is that we, got to a point where 25 years later, we had not really put money aside to maintain that cost of the ice rink. And I think if we can do that, I would support these increases if at least a portion, if not all of it, would go towards future maintenance and future projects, especially at the aquatic center, but we need it at the golf course and probably campground as well. So that's probably where I would be if we were going to vote next week, is I'm okay with those, but I do want to see some of it, if not all, earmarked for that. On the other piece, and the question about pickleball, I do have, I think, an issue, and I think early on as we were thinking about charging for the new pickleball facility, there was some discussion about tennis pays. They've paid for years, and so I asked you, actually, are you part of any associations? And I don't think the city has any cost to be a member of anything, although there is some membership that's taken care of a different way. There are employees that are specifically used for tennis that we have on the payroll that is different. So when I go to the Aquadome to swim, I pay, I think it's $50 or something like that a quarter.
Right.
Well, there's 2 or 3 lifeguards that I have no problem with that. I think that makes sense. I don't know that we have any plans to hire a pickleball pro, do we?
What I would ask is that we get through the conversations for the reason I'm tabling it tonight. And we make everybody aware of those.
Yeah, I would not support paid pickleball unless there was some extenuating personnel matter that would cause
Sure.
that. So I think that's different than tennis because of what we have in place there.
Well, and it's been a long time, and we're very excited about this. We're excited for the community because it's been a long time since we've been able to open a brand new facility that didn't exist before. So that's what we want, is that conversation to make sure that we do the right thing for everybody involved. And so what we want to do is get as much information, don't make the decision, make it available, get input, and then let's all make a good decision on what we're going to do.
I think, like you're saying, I think gathering information from other cities, kind of
Right.
heard about Opelika is a good example, and there's others that.
And we did. Opelika was a big help, and you know,
So, and probably others that do charge for certain things.
some do, some
Yeah.
don't. Right.
Some of it's a joint facility. I've got comments, agree with some of that, but I'll wait until we.
There is no bad comments. It's just about getting all the information, making a good decision.
Yeah, I'll hold on until it's back on the agenda. Go ahead.
Is it possible to pull the cemetery piece out and not table it?
Yes, sir, it would be. Now, we don't expect this to last more than one to, at the most, 2 agendas. So I think it will happen quickly enough to where that wouldn't be as a big. What I don't want to do is do something that could affect something else and have already went forward. I'd rather do it all as a whole because in a lot of ways they do affect each other.
Hey, and Jason, just one thing I didn't see would be season passes to Point Mallard. Is that going to be, will you
That's on.
addressed in this when we bring it back?
That will be on there, and also to the council president's point, as far as looking at, and Kyle's been a big help. I've never used the word earmark because, for obvious reasons. But I do think we've had good discussion to accomplish what you're talking about.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jason. All right, ordinances first reading, ordinance 244600, approve amendment to Code of Decatur, section 11-6, fireworks.
What this does is the state of Alabama allows the cities to decide whether they want to prohibit what's called novelty items. But what this does is mirrors the state law. But we just need to understand fireworks, as we know, these shooting in the air and all that, that is illegal in the city of Decatur. But it's occurring. This doesn't affect that. This just allows what's called novelty, such as sparklers and things of that nature. And it just mirrors the state law.
Non-exploding.
That's right.
It's ground-based.
Yes,
I think some of our neighbors, Huntsville, Madison, I know, Florence, have adopted something similar. I did want to read one thing, and I know this is a first reading, and it probably won't happen next week. It'll be 2 weeks after that, but Mayor Battle wrote a letter after they adopted it to another city council that was looking at it and said, the legalization of these devices in Huntsville, Alabama has proven to be beneficial in our community. There are less loud bang explosive fireworks being used, resulting in less citizen complaints and injuries. Where we have not been able to eliminate the explosive fireworks, we've given our citizens a legal alternative. And then goes on to say, I would say our community made a wise move when we offered the sparkling and handheld devices as a legal way to celebrate. So while it's kind of backwards that we would right now be legalizing something that is not allowed, even the handheld things, it makes logical sense to me, because if we give somebody something they can go buy in the city limits and not the opportunity to buy the things that are illegal, they're more likely to use the things that are legal. So I think this is a good thing. We need to move forward, and I think it should help both our police department, and we get a lot of citizen complaints on 4th of July and New Year's Eve about fireworks. So hopefully this would help bring some of that down, especially the big, loud, exploding fireworks. So, any other comments, questions there?
Joe Nerd is just playing in my mind right
Yeah,
now.
there were a lot of
Whisker do's.
There were a lot of
whisker
terms
don'ts.
in that ordinance that did make me think of that. So. All right, ordinances. Ordinance 244598, change definition of lounge and alcoholic beverage chapter.
Yeah, that's one we've already discussed. And it just reduces the square footage requirement to be a lounge, and so long as you can serve 15 people at a time, up to 15.
Okay. All right, boards and committees, or any questions on that? Boards and committees, reappoint Tom Polk to the Board of Zoning Adjustment with term expiring December 31st, 2027. First full term. Reappoint Winston Fight to the Construction Industries Board with term expiring December 31st, 2027.
First full term as well.
First full term. Reappoint Taylor Lawrence to the Construction Industries Board Board with term expiring December 31st, 2027. First full term. Reappoint Susan Wiley to the Personnel Board with term expiring December 31st, 2029. First full term. All right, any questions on those appointments?
That last one could wind up being a conflict of interest down the road, couldn't it? Somebody? If what? Well, she's running for mayor. I think she would step down. She probably step down.
All right, our meeting next week will be on Tuesday, December 3rd at 5:30, work session, 6 o'clock meeting. I will not be here. All right, we'll move into anything else from you guys? All right, we'll move into our public comments section. Same rules we always have. I'll start and go in order. Mr. Faruqi was first on the list.
Okay, I did want to address that earlier, but the entire board nomination process, how that happens. I know I've heard bits and pieces. I've heard from you that sometimes it's hard to find people in various districts to make it as part of the boards. The Construction Industries Board, I didn't even know we had such a thing. I didn't know what it did.
I'll pause you. When have they met?
They met.
They met back at the beginning of the year. I don't think that they've met since.
Yeah, they very, very rarely meet.
Yeah, very rarely do they meet.
Okay. Well, the whole process of how, because I know there's 3 names on there, they're all coming out of District 2, which is your district. And then
I don't know that they're all out of 2.
Wesley Perry, Winston Fight, and Jacob Woods.
Tommy's on both of them. Yes, they're all District 2.
Yeah. So again, looking at how do we get the best qualified people to be in various boards and places we need them to be.
So those are actually, y'all can chime in, those are actually have to be specific to make up that board, like trade professionals. They have to have a representation from, I forgot what
Plumber.
Yeah.
Or regular construction.
So it makes a little more, that's why there's 3 from District 2, it just happenstance, but they each have a specific trade that they work in.
Okay. Again, going back to looking at the qualifications, there was no discussion on any of that in the documents that you all are going to be voting on. So for the people who are sitting behind wondering who these people are, what they do, because yes, it's listed as Jacob Woods is a design, doesn't tell me what that is. Wesley Perry is a trade, I don't know what that is. And Winston Fight is a construction contractor, I guess. That's the full gamut of information that I've got, which could be interpreted any number of ways. Design could be everything from buildings to dresses. I don't know what they're doing. So again, trying to get some clarity.
That would lead you to think that they're not designing dresses.
Trying to get folks so that the public understands that we don't have the best interests of Fight Industries when we put members of Fight before that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Personnel Board, Ms. Wiley, I know she's been on the board before. I've seen her in action. She looks like she's, a strong personality in that board meeting. But again, it goes back to what are the qualifications for her in this instance, because there's none of that listed in in her VC, if you will, or CV.
Yeah, that was actually a discussion. We didn't put her on the board. She actually was approved, I think, the council meeting right before we came in. And I don't know that Susie has directly a background in HR or anything like that, but sometimes I've found personally in private sector, it's good to have somebody that provides maybe an outside perspective. There are other HR professionals on that board, but I do think you don't want a board fully of wild cards, right? But it's good to have a wild card on a board, I think, at times. So.
I agree. And I think when you take a look at the Police Advisory Committee or whatever that is, the qualification for those folks may have overdrawn their capabilities over time. They were there prior to the current chief taking over. They were there for a specific incident that happened prior to Mr. Perkins' incident. Those said same people majority of them are ministers in the community, a majority of them are. I don't know if any of them have a background in policing and/or education in law enforcement or anything like that. So it begs the question of when or how is that board going to look? And I know maybe not everyone, but I know the police's chief is waiting for this green research document to come out. I think that ought to be a priority, looking at how we make the police organization more effective with a board that actually has functional capabilities rather than perfunctory capabilities. All right, that's it.
Thanks, Faruqi. Next is Sarah French.
It's Thanksgiving week, and it's a perfect time to tell you what I'm thankful for in the city of Decatur. I'm thankful for our traffic division and response teams that showed up to my son's wreck in June and literally made critical decisions that got him quickly to Huntsville's trauma team, who were able to save his life. I am thankful for city leaders and city employees that have reached out to me privately and let me know that they know the city is wrongful, but they can't publicly say that without backlash. We hear you and we appreciate you. I'm thankful for the supporters who drive from as far as Florence and Huntsville to come and support the corruption of this city and justice for Steve Perkins. I'm thankful that Steve Perkins' daughter, Avani, was saved and baptized just recently and now will join her daddy in heaven with no uncertainty. I am thankful for the example Catrella shows other women and mothers. She is steadfast and strong in her faith and is a powerful example to us all. I am thankful to Nick and the entire Perkins family for the love, thankfulness, and support they show us supporters even while dealing with their own grief. I'm thankful for the Steve Perkins family that I now have. We support each other and have each other's backs, and we stand together. It has been told to me recently that the mayor has almost gloated in the fact that he has Steve Perkins people under his control. So lastly, I would like to say to our mayor and everyone else that I am thankful that in 2025 we are going to stand stronger than ever for justice for Steve.
Beverly Jackson.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I am standing here before you this evening, the first time I've ever been in one of these meetings, but to bring up some concerns that we have about the changes in the dog parks. Recently we found out that we were losing the large dog park, and it brought some concerns to us, the people that have large dogs. Myself, I have two large sheepadoodles. They're 100 pounds each. At any given time in the large dog park, there are 30 or 40 large dogs out there running around, and they need that exercise. That's a big part of my day, or my evenings. My day is working, but that's my evenings. And a big part of the community out there is having the space to let our animals go and run and play. And some of the concerns that we have about the move, we understand that the city wants to do the new rec center, and my hats are off to you, about doing the new rec center. But having a space for us, as part of the community. And so we've looked at the space that has been allotted to us, and we don't think that that's a large enough space for that many dogs to be able to run and play safely. Another thing is the small park holds water. It been holding water for years. It's just after a rain, it'll hold it for a week or more. It does not drain off, and part of this space that is allotted will be connected to that small dog park. So we have some issues with the drainage there. Another part is that it's going to be moved up right against the roadway where there's a lot of traffic going back and forth. that concerns us with a couple of different ways. One is big trailer trucks coming through scare dogs, and that creates, problems as far as whether they're going to run and play and exercise. It also causes problems for them bolting, if they come through there popping those brakes and, all that. Another is that area right there is a raceway on the weekend evenings. I know you guys have probably heard that from your police departments, but they race through there all the time. And I mean, it's a drag race, and it's terrible, and it's loud muffers. Another thing that scares, dogs and can cause them to bolt and run. We're concerned about where we're going to park at, because we've understood that the parking lot is going to be moved, and that we may have to park down to where the other parking is. That's a long way to walk, dogs that could bolt and run that close to a highway. Like I said, I'm 62 years old. I got 2 large dogs. They're my only company. That's what I do. Other than work, pay my taxes, and try to be a good citizen. So those are some concerns that we have. Where we're going to park, restrooms, lights. We have been told before that we couldn't have lights out there, that they get locked up at night because if they leave the lights on, bad things happen. But the tennis court lights would be on. I mean, it just seems like double standards. And we just want to ask the city respectfully to think about, is there another place that you could put us? Could we go to Delano over there? Maybe go over that way. That's large, flat land.
We just hit 4 minutes, but, and that, I don't know if I said that, but we can give 4 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. I think those are great questions. I think we've got time, I think, to have those type of discussions with you guys. And actually, Miss Wiley's name came up. She lives 3 doors down from me, so I hear from her a lot about the dog park. So she's let me know her thoughts. But I don't disagree. I think dog parks are good for the community. I don't know. I don't personally use a dog park, but I know that when people move here, young and middle and old, all want to use, they like dog parks. So people ask about, where can I take my dog? So it's something we need to address. I do know sometimes with new things, we got to move some stuff around, but I would be surprised if we can't make it right for the dog owners. Thank you. So, yeah, come on. Can Jason come to the podium?
Sure. I mean, I won't bite.
That's pretty good. So we did community meetings for this exact thing. What you see drawn and that we showed in those community meetings was something that to show that we were trying to figure out ways to do it. But as we said in those meetings, that is not set in stone. There are other areas in that park that those dog parks can go. And the way they're designed is one of the questions we were asking at that time too. So as council's just said, we do have time to have those conversations still.
We would love to have them with you.
We're trying, I promise. And we've had a couple community meetings, and we're open to whatever conversation. There's nothing, ground hadn't broke, there's nothing that's happened yet. We're at a place where we can.
Yeah.
Right. So we're in a good place, and that's the feedback we want, because we don't want what we want there. We want what folks that use the dog park want there. So, just talk to us. We'll listen, I promise.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Mrs. Jackson.
Thank you.
Is it Kathy Gossett?
I'm with Beverly, and she has pretty well covered our list that we had. And so since, we're talking about more meetings and everything, I'm okay for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Philip, second. Okay. Mike Stovall.
This is not going to be my normal speech, but as I've been just pondering these last few weeks, and I saw it today, where's your mayor? I mean, he gets up, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Mayor, you get up and you leave with all these people here that have different issues. And I didn't get to say it at the meeting, but if it had not been for Billy and Jacob, we wouldn't be as far as we have gotten with Justice for Steve on this side. Because we didn't have a mayor, we don't have a leader, and you got people in the city, like even the Burning Tree people, you know, people in my community, people over in District 1, people are just upset right now. And we don't have anybody that we can talk to, that we can, that's going to come out and talk to the people. Because he gets up and he leaves every time. Here's my friend here, who I know it was hard for her to come today. I didn't even know she was going to come. I was going to speak about her, but I didn't know she was going to come. She's hurting. This is a hard week for her. And he has not come to us to say, how does healing look? How can we move to the next level? We need that. But he won't come. The only thing he tells us is, you're going to stick with Todd, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I mean, that's the only thing he said, and he ain't said that in a while. But I'm just saying, like, we need a leader in this town. And with our mayor, we don't have one. So I guess we're going to have to all come together and see, how does healing look? How does it look moving forward? We're just going to wait on the third party? I mean, how about if third party comes back and it's just a lot of chaos and, how that's going to look? But we don't even have a leader to lead us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anything else from council? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.